At the end of every year, everybody looks back to say, you know, what were the best things that happened, the worst things that happened. And we did that with our poll of these experts and other colleagues to rate the president's best and worst moments. First, here's a look at the candidates for best moments.
You know what they say, keep your friends close, but visit the Republican caucus every few months.
Good evening. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you about the end of our combat mission in Iraq, the ongoing security challenges we face, and the need to rebuild our nation here at home.
Take a tally. Look at what I promised during the campaign. There's not a single thing that I've said that I would do that I have not either done or tried to do. So I'm going to take off.
But, I don't want to make her mad. Please go.
You're in good hands. And Gibbs will call last question.
Yeah, help me. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, is there anything else that can be done?
Now, at this point in the awards ceremony, they always say the envelope, please. But before we do that, those were some big moments. Which one was best?
You know, the best moment for the country was the moment he signed the health care bill. The best moment for Barack Obama, I think personally, was that moment where he was standing at the Republican conference. It really showed why the confidence people had in this guy, what they voted for. Here's somebody who understood the issues, who could thrust and parry with the best of them. And he seemed to get the best of the Republicans that day. Although one would argue they did pretty well in the comeback come November.
What was the best moment, Ward?
Well, I'm going to pick the last press conference that he had. I picked a different one, but I'm not going to get into that here. Because that really showed the president at his best. He was in charge. It's one of the rare times you ever saw emotion from this man who prides himself on stoicism. He was mad, and he was not defensive, but offensive. And it's, I think, the first time since that Baltimore appearance where he really was on the offense. And, you know, I think people in the White House briefing room were sort of taken a little bit aback by his appearance that day. I think that was very good for him.
And the best moment, Rob, in your opinion, you cover him every day.
Well, I've got to agree with Jamal, even though Ward is pretty much right. But what started was the event in Baltimore. He was down for the count there, and he was getting all this flack from the Republicans who were saying, no, 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 no. And he stood up and said, I'm the President of the United States. I'm going to go into your house. We're going to talk about things. And I think that was where this whole idea really kind of started, him showing emotion and really becoming president.
And the most interesting thing about the winning entry, and the winning entry is exactly that, the president at the GOP summit in Baltimore. That was the first chronologically of all of those events. So how does that square? You know, the president wasn't having a great year, yet we're picking the best moment as the very first thing that happened.
Well, he started off well. I think the Republicans had a good comeback. This election year was really their election to win, and they did pretty well. But, you know, the president is a virtuoso performer when he's standing there by himself.
Okay, but I will also say that I think what we witnessed from Baltimore forward was a lack of any kind of communication, consistency, messaging, strategy. You know, the people who came out and spoke for him, whether it was Axelrod or whether it was Gibbs, they were not good spokesmen. And the president himself, he's great at soaring rhetoric, but when he gets down to trying to explain to the American people why this matters to them, he doesn't have it. And that's really what caused, I think, a lot of his problems.
Well, leading up to the election, I mean, let's be honest, too, the Republicans dug in their heels, and the strategy there was to deny, going to the election. All right, let's get to the worst moments. And anytime you're as out front as Barack Obama is every day at the microphone, you're going to have some bad moments. So now let's take a look at the contenders for the president's worst moment of the year.
We've directed BP to mobilize additional equipment and technology. And in the coming weeks and days, these efforts should capture up to 90% of the oil leaking out of the well.
Today I accepted General Stanley McChrystal's resignation as commander of the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan.
I'm exhausted of defending you, defending your administration, defending the mantle of change that I voted for, and deeply disappointed with where we are right now.
Now, I'm not recommending for every future president that they take a shellacking like I did last night. You know, I'm sure there are easier ways to learn these lessons.
Well, those are some tough moments. I'm going to go first this time. My personal favorite, just because I liked it so much, was the joint appearance with Vice President Biden. It's not the president's worst moment, but here's the historic day where they get health care, and that steals the headline. So that's a bad moment. What
Is that a bad moment? I thought that was kind of.
Well, it was a funny moment.
Well, that was the one that I picked as the best moment. Okay, that I didn't want to get into. I mean, it was, you know, they were excited, okay, and they had every right to be.
Yep, yep.
I think, though, with playing off what Ward was just talking about, the inability to really communicate, the Velma Hart message, what her statement at that town hall really hit home, where you have a White House who is, by its own admission, in a bubble. The president's always in a bubble, and they think they're doing the right thing for the country. They think they're trying to explain it. And here you have someone who supported him coming out saying, listen, it's not getting through. And that, to me, was by far the lowest point of the year.
Everybody agree?
I agree, and I also think that the president missed an opportunity there because he should have just gotten off his stool and walked over and talked to her and put his arm around her, and you know that was a very Clinton moment.
That's right. What we didn't see is Barack Obama's reaction, which was horrible to that question, and she didn't do anything like what we're hearing now.
He had a big smile on his face.
That's right. I would say the other point we brought up in here was the McChrystal moment. We have that in our worst moment category, but I think that goes in one of Barack Obama's better moments.
Because of leadership.
Because of leadership. Yeah. McChrystal clearly violated the chain of command, the feelings about the chain of command. The president acted quickly, he replaced him quickly, and we were on to the next thing. He decided very quickly that this was time for McChrystal to go and who was going to replace him, and they never missed a beat. I think that goes to leadership quality.
Okay, so the bottom line. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up one. Are we done with best and worst moments?
I think so.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up one big missed opportunity, I think, and I'd like to know what everybody else thinks about this, which was the Deficit Commission report. And, you know, these guys, better or worse, gave it their best shot. It was a lot of painful medicine, a lot of cuts, a lot of taxes. And they had struck a deal with the devil, you know, because they needed 14 of 16 members to get a vote in Congress, and they fell just short of that. And, you know, that final vote came out on a Friday, and on the next Monday, the president was in the briefing room announcing his compromise with the Republicans for this $800 billion tax cut that is not paid for, nor is the extension of the unemployment benefits. So I guess in my mind, I'm like, that's really a pox on both houses there. I mean, are you serious about the deficit? Is it a big deal? And if it is, how can you possibly look yourself in the face and say this tax cut is a good idea?
It's the reality of politics, though, isn't it? I mean,
it's the reality of politics, and in some ways it's the reality of economics. I think what the economists would say is if we don't have strong growth, there's no way we can deal with the deficit at all, and we need to do something to stimulate growth. The president wasn't going to get another spending stimulus package done. The only stimulus they could hope for was a tax stimulus, and that's what they were able to do during that debate. And I think, you know, the one event that's coming that we haven't mentioned before March is the State of the Union. And I think at the State of the Union, you'll hear from the president a little more about his vision for the country, hopefully, and a little more about values, the things that he wants to protect that will energize some Democrats. But he's going to have to. I think we'll hear about this Deficit Commission report a little bit more as we get into it.
And real quickly, we got to go. We started by saying, is the president the comeback kid? So at the end of the year, is Barack Obama stronger than he was at the beginning of 2010? Yes or no? You think?
He's stronger than he was 3 months ago. I don't know if he's stronger than he was at the beginning of 2010.
Rob, what do you think?
I agree with that. I think he's in a stronger position going into 11 and then the re-elect year than anyone thought he would be throughout any point of this year.
I have to say I have whiplash. I think the guy has just completely turned around, and I think he's much stronger today and when he goes to Hawaii than he was when he went to Hawaii a year ago.